30 years in the business. Let's continue our discussion here at the VWV agency in Johannesburg. So how do you put an experiential campaign together? And I wonder if there is a different approach for different markets. This particular agency is now starting to act big across the border into Africa. I'm joined now by Jameson, Hlongwane, a senior executive at the agency. Before we get to all of that stuff, we're sitting in this beautiful client theatre. Massive screen behind us. I know this is an image from the 2010 Soccer World Cup opening and closing ceremonies that you guys did. You've had some tough meetings, I would imagine.
Yes, no, we've had some very tough meetings because, as you say, the room is very conducive to interaction with clients. We designed it that way. So, yes, there have been some tough discussions, but robust discussions and I think fruitful discussions. And with the big screen, we've been able to, on the one side, wow our clients, and also on the other side, show some of the intricacies of our mistakes, and therefore they've been able to pick those mistakes up and say, no, we'd like this and we like that. And yes, with a bit of push and pull, we've found a compromise.
Let me refer to this image behind us from the 2010 World Cup. When you look at something like that, it must fill you with a great sense of pride, but I imagine also a great sense of, how can I put this, residual fear.
Yes, it was a really, really tough time. I mean, there were a lot of issues around at that time for us. But furthermore, it's just being able to, have that much pressure on one and the team, and knowing that the whole world is watching, and knowing that you're representing the country, and not only the country, representing Africa, because as we know, there are perceptions of Africa that we are always trying to overcome, and that was a great opportunity for us as Africans to be able to say, you know what, we can compete on a worldwide basis, not just on an African basis. We compete on a worldwide basis, and we can deliver shows like anybody else.
I hope you had a long holiday after that particular campaign.
Alas, no.
Jameson, what are there certain kinds of brands or services or events that lend themselves more to an experiential solution?
Yeah, I think my view is that most brands should be engaging in experiential more and more. It is a tough process for them because above the line is obviously their main form of marketing. But I think with the advent of things like social media, internet, it means that a consumer is keen to interact with a brand, wants to be able to share with the brand how it feels about the brand, and so on and so on. There's more of a need for brands to be able to do that kind of experiential marketing. And of course, I'd obviously love everybody to use us, but we don't do everything. We don't do everything. We are niched at the moment, and we are growing into various areas, but we are mainly niched at the moment. But I think that goes right from promotions at a supermarket, right through to social media, right through to the type of events that we do.
Without sounding like a marketing lecture, that relationship between traditional above-the-line advertising and experiential marketing. Often in the past, it was a competitive space. Yeah. These days, it's more cooperative.
That's without a doubt. There is a greater need for an integrated process between above the line and experiential. I think there's obviously a fear on both sides, and
fear of budget. Yeah.
Fear of budget. The reality is the budget has not changed. It's not like the budget has grown. We're still trying to get the same budget. However, if we don't integrate, the likelihood is the budget may get even less. So there is a need for us to integrate so that we help clients to understand the importance of what we do as a global process. And in the end, they've got to get more value. They've got to understand that what we do enhances their brand and then therefore enhances their sales, because that's what it's about.
I made the point in the introduction about a foray into Africa. That's becoming an increasingly lucrative market for all agencies. What are you guys doing there?
Yes, well, I mean, a few years ago we started off, foraying into Africa, and luckily we've been able to do the MTV Africa Music Awards a couple of times in Nigeria and also in Nairobi, and luckily we also then went on to launch Airtel in 16 countries in Africa. So for us it's a very important market, and recently we just did the GloCAF Awards. So for us it's a very important market. We've brought somebody on board within the company, an executive within the company, to now grow the business in Africa, and that company is called eNCA, and the idea is that hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years we have 2 or 3 really established clients that we can say rely on us.
Just another question to you. Often events like this, again referring to the 2010 World Cup, are massive in terms of outlay and cost. How on earth do you justify return on investment?
Where that comes in is first of all delivering a good product. For us, it's about if the product and the creativity is strong, then the client is getting that strategic level of communication to the consumer. Then secondly, I think in the end, when you look at something like this, which was, the World Cup, which was quite a large budget in normal terms, when you look at how many people it went out to, and what it was able to achieve for South Africa, not just for the World Cup, but for South Africa, enabling people to change minds about South Africa and understand that we are a bit more sophisticated than they think we are, and Africa is more sophisticated than they think they are. Then I think the return on investment for something like this was quite reasonable. I think they got a good return on their buck.
After the break, what really goes on behind the scenes of the massive AFCON opening ceremony?